Good morning and welcome to Around Ocean County on 100.1 WJRZ. I'm Lisa Anderson, joined by Dr. Tracey Wilen. Good morning, Tracey.
Oh, good morning, Lisa.
You're calling from sunny San Francisco. We're jealous.
Yeah, yeah, we're blessed with very good weather this year.
Oh, good for you. Send some of it down our way because here at the Jersey Shore, we just got slammed this winter. Coldest February on record, I think.
Oh, my goodness, you guys just keep getting it. I feel so bad.
Well, we're counting down the days. Now, Dr. Wilen, she's joined us before on Around Ocean County. She is a global speaker on the impact of technology on work, careers, and women's leadership. So we're going to talk about March was National Women's History Month.
Yes, it is. And I looked up the history, and in the U.S., it goes back to 1911, and at the first point, it was just one day, and then it was expanded to a week, and now it's a month. And March 8th is International Women's Day, so there's lots of excitement in March. So a lot of people like yourself are embrace the topic in the media, and we really appreciate that.
Well, we're going to talk about the trends in 2015 for women of all ages. Now, Tracey, let's start out by saying you note that 2015 could be an up year for women in the workplace. Let's talk about that.
Yes, I'm very positive and up on women in 2015. I look at, the younger generations. I look at women in their 40s and 50s, and I even looked at this year some of our older women and kind of how they're trend-setting different areas, whether it's in their lives or in the workforce.
Yeah, things seem to be changing a little. I mean, from the days of, we've come a long way from June Cleaver, who sat home and ironed. And it's hard, though, because a lot of women in their mid-40s, 50s, were kind of in that sandwich generation. And I think we juggle a lot of things. We've taking care of our family, we're taking care of parents a lot of times, and we're juggling things in the workplace. So women who are pursuing job promotions or salary increases or executive leadership roles in the firm, if they don't find what they want, you say women are going to look elsewhere.
And Lisa, here's the point that, in 2014, the last quarter, and even as we enter into 2015, people are very optimistic about jobs and jobs growth. I mean, they just published the jobs report again, and it's over 200,000 for this month. And so people are looking first inside, which I always encourage women to do, for the opportunities, and see if this is the time, which I think it is, to say, I need a promotion, or I'd like to make a job move, or I'd like to really embrace leadership because we have a lot of opportunities. But some women have said, I've hit a wall in the company, and the best time to look for jobs is while you're working. I always say don't quit your job before you get a new one, but during an optimistic job session. Where are the opportunities? Well, it might be outside, and I think a lot of us forget that, one, internally we can find things, but also externally. So I think this year we're going to see women seriously looking inside and outside the firm.
Google reporting that technology firms have a diversity problem of severe underrepresentation of women and minorities in the firm, and other technology firms need to up their members. So you know that if a woman decides to stay at her job, it's time to ask what's up.
That's right. And I think that 2014 sort of laid the groundwork for 2015. Google came out with a report and said, let's have transparency. High-tech firms are not employing as many women as men, and, the numbers are showing that. The Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, and you and I had talked about this, had made a gaffe in 2014 telling women to trust in karma to get ahead, and so it started to keep spotlighting that there's a problem in not only in the technology sector, but in a lot of companies. So now we have a lot of transparency, and then we have leaders standing up saying we need to do something about it. I mean, I really appreciate how Janet Yellen one-upped everybody by saying the title of the Federal Reserve is not chairman, it's chair. Like, let's stop even putting gender into titles and assuming that the chairman can only be a man, but rather it's the chair now, and it could be anyone.
Dr. Tracey Wilen joining us this morning on Around Ocean County on 100.1 WJRZ. Tracey is a global speaker talking about the impact of technology on work, careers, women's leadership. Now, we're talking about women's roles within the company. Do you think it has anything to do with women not taking up technology in college? Could that make sense?
Well, yes, and there's been a lot of research showing that previous generations, let's face it, technology wasn't really an option. It's happened very quickly. So the pipeline of women taking technology is not as great as men taking technology. But there's other dynamics that happen in the workforce that we have to address of the climate and the culture of a lot of these firms. I'm more optimistic. I think, our younger generation, as your parents are saying, I got to get my daughters into technology toys, technology books, technology classes, and technology camps. And so I looked at that as a promising trend. So we will see more women in technology in the future.
You think that this might be the year for women to up and out of the firm where they work?
Well, again, if it's optimistic job markets, this is the time for movement, right? So I think a lot of people were waiting and very nervous about the job market, and now people are more optimistic. And when people are optimistic, companies start hiring, positions start opening, and people start looking, and they start to say, okay, maybe it is time for me to take a calculated risk and look for my next step.
Tracey, do you ever offer advice for women, say they're in their company, they really don't want to, say it's close to their home, the hours work for them, but they still want to up their position? What if there's resistance? Do you ever offer women any advice on how to handle that if they encounter resistance with their boss asking for a change or promotion?
Well, I think it's important that women, number one, understand what their worth is, right? So before you go in and ask for that promotion, that salary raise, do you know if you're getting paid at par or not? Because you may be under or you may be over. You really don't know. And if you're under, then the conversation really isn't around getting promoted. It's really about salary leveling. The second is I encourage women to keep metrics on yourself. It's very difficult to argue with data, and it could be every day writing down how did you contribute something to the firm in terms of sales or reducing costs or improving a process or adding in a new customer, because it's difficult for people to argue with strong quantitative data points. And third is having conversations regular with the management so that they are always aware of what you're doing. A lot of people wait for that annual review, and quite frankly, I think the annual review is on its way out for a lot of firms because they're realizing dialogue needs to happen more frequently, whether it's once a week or once a day. People need to understand what you're doing, and you have to keep that visible. So I would encourage women to, cover that first, and then if you're having resistance, well, then maybe it's time for a chat with HR. Maybe it's time for you to rotate somewhere else. I don't know all the circumstances of what women are dealing with.
You say that women of all ages are minding their own business. What does that mean, Tracey?
Yes, I'm very excited because women-owned businesses is one of the fastest-growing sectors in the U.S., and I think part of that is because it's easier today to start a business, right? Technology has really leveled the playing field. I mean, people are having businesses on Etsy and eBay. Yeah. Also, there's more cash that's accessible through crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo and Kickstarter. But also women are saying, you know what, I am very skilled. I'm going to be working for a long time, and I would like to run my own shop or business, right? Why do I have to keep taking orders from someone else? And those options were not always available years ago, right? The only option was to work for a company or the public sector. And what's interesting is the women who are driving it are the women in their 40s and 50s in terms of franchising and business ownership, which is very exciting. So these are the women who have gotten a lot of skills in companies, have built up probably some money and expertise, and it said, maybe this is the time for me to transition, not to another company, into my own company. Mm-hmm. And I think our younger women are doing more startups, more tech startups and more exciting social media startups. But I embrace this whole movement of women.
I can't believe women own 25% of franchises.
Yes, and it used to be that women, think about real estate agents, right? That was one of the early franchises that women owned. But it's really expanded. I mean, and there's franchise professional associations, there's franchise boards, there's franchise magazines, there's places where you can get involved with, maybe it's a coffee shop or a Subway or something, with hair or things that you like, and that's attainable today, which is quite exciting.
And you know what? It's doing something you love. I mean, a salon, that's up, spas. Wouldn't that be great to own a spa?
Yes, and that's kind of the point, is that women look at it, and their franchises are kind of things that they really like.
Yeah.
Clothing and fitness and spas and education. I mean, these is what all the franchises that women are driving. And they can run a business. And what's nice about franchising, if you look, it can be a very low entry fee or it could be high. It just depends on the type of franchise that you pursue.
And I also think women are attuned to what other women like.
No, you're bringing up a point. They say that women control the purse. And so women are the best to know how to market to women. And I think they say 85% of the expenditures today are actually women controlling for the family, and even that they're picking out and buying the cars for the family. And so you would want to have women running companies and marketing to other women. So your point is very well taken.
Kind of used to all that multitasking, right? And I think it's easier, too, when your children are in college and you have more time to think about what you want. Because when they're young, it's kind of hard to think about starting up a franchise. And as you get older, you realize, okay, I've got some time now. You know, what do I want to do? Entrepreneur Magazine noted the top women-owned franchises: School of Rock, Great Clips, Huntington Learning Centers.
Yes, and you think about it, you spent your time preparing yourself because you were running a home business. So when you're having your employees or your team members, your kids, and you had to learn how to influence them and run the shop, so to speak. And so it makes perfect sense that women would just transition more naturally into running a franchise or their own business.
Dr. Tracey Wilen, global speaker on technology and women's issues, joining us this morning on Around Ocean County on 100.1 WJRZ. I'm Lisa Anderson. This is great, talking about women and all their businesses in 2015. Now, let's talk about particularly women under 30. According to research, it's been the best year yet for female entrepreneurs. Last year was the best year yet. It's expected to continue this year.
Yes, and I'm really excited because women are starting around 1,200 businesses per day. That's in 2014, and it is expected to continue to grow. And that's why I think that our younger women, we will see them more as business leaders. Because remember, small firms grow into big firms. And this generation, our youngest generation, is very comfortable with trying new things and developing new ideas, and much more than previous generations. And I just embrace that. So your next CEO and employer will likely be a woman in moving forward.
And I think the more women that pave the way, the younger generation sees that, and it just becomes where years ago it's like, well, I can't do that. All the CEOs are men. Well, now, not so. So I think the women under 30, to them, that'll be a lot easier than it was years ago for women.
Yes, and they lead the growth now in 8 out of 13 industries, and their businesses regularly outperform male counterparts, which is great because that means they'll secure increased funding and opportunities. They'll also attract, obviously, women employees and create opportunities for themselves as role models and help influence, as you said, other younger women.
I feel like we should be playing Helen Reddy's I Am Woman, Hear Me whilst we're doing this interview. Let's talk politics, Tracey. You say women are upbeat about politics this year.
Yeah, women have always run for office. I mean, the numbers are less than men, but this year it's kind of interesting. Everybody's talking about Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, Carly Fiorina even. It was just like everybody's talking about the women in politics, Janet Yellen, Angela Merkel, right? It's tip of everyone's tongue, which is exciting because the men they don't talk about so much. The conversation, I think the dinner conversation in 2015, preparing for the election in 2016, you're going to hear a lot of chat about women, which is different than in the past. And I think that's just exciting. No matter who you vote for, it's just exciting that women are in the conversation.
Sure. I can't believe that Congress that convened this month includes a record 108 women. That's considerably an increase from where things were not too long ago.
Yes, and my hope is that we can see that at parity, because I think you'll see more initiatives and things happening in our country when whether it's a company or political systems, when you have parity.
Let's talk about boomer women, okay? Their numbers are up on travel and shacking up. Let's first off, up on travel. That's fantastic, but shacking up, what's going on there?
I get excited because women lead in all areas. And when I looked at our 55, 60-plus women, they're trendsetters. And AARP did some surveys, and they found that women in 50 and up are traveling. Very exciting. They take 4 to 5 trips a year. A lot of it has to do with the bucket list. A lot of it has to do with family, or they're just, traveling in groups and taking exciting trips and summer vacations. So I'm very excited that even women are still doing things, even if after the workforce. But the shacking up, I think, is kind of fun. You might remember that show, Golden Girls.
Oh, loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people love it. But, you think about it, it was about 4 single women, whether widowed or divorced, who decided to live together in Florida. And it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of women today are saying, I'm widowed or divorced. It's much more fun to have roommates. You can share the costs. You can share the tasks. You can have someone to go out with and do things with. And so women are buddying up. And I think it's a very good trend, because if you think about it, your options used to be you either lived alone, you lived with your kids, or you moved into this godforsaken old age home that you had visions of doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And instead, women are saying, let's get it together. Let's get a house and go back to the Golden Girls year and have some fun.
I would be Estelle, that one. That would definitely be me. I could just see the kids. Mom, can you babysit? No, sorry, I'm going to Aruba.
And I meet so many women who are doing a lot of buddying up on the traveling, and I think that's really smart, because it's a lot of fun, and there's actually a lot of events now just promoting women travel groups. And you can go and meet other women or find out about organizations that have women's-only trips, and it makes a lot of sense. There's comfort in numbers, there's safety in numbers, but it's also a lot of fun traveling with a lot of women. So I think it's a great trend, and it gives you something to look forward to after, maybe after you stop working or you're working part-time.
Oh, sure. 60's the new 40. Dr. Tracey Wilen, it's been fantastic talking to you about all of these trends for 2015. Oh, by the way, this is your 11th book that you just wrote, and your newest book is called Employed for Life, 21st Century Career Trends.
Yes, and I appreciate you mentioning it, and it's available on Amazon, or you can certainly come to my website, which is TraceyWilen.com.
And follow you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter. It's just at Tracey Wilen, TraceyWilen. I'm on LinkedIn, and I write for different blogs like The Examiner and LinkedIn and Huffington Post, and I'm on Facebook, and I hope that people will reach out to me.
I'm sure they will, and you need to set aside some time for a vacation as well. You are one busy lady.
Well, maybe not New Jersey right now, but maybe
Trust me,
future.
Wait a couple months to come here to New Jersey, okay? Wait till things thaw out and the snow melts. Dr. Tracey Wilen joining us this morning on Around Ocean County on 100.1 WJRZ. I'm Lisa Anderson. It's always a pleasure, Tracey. Remember, you can hear this show. If you missed any part of it, it's a podcast on our website at WJRZ.com. Continued success, Tracey. Thank you.
Thank you.